Welcome to a game between therx and Madcraft. Here we have Madcraft in red, spawn using cloak bots. And here we have therx in blue, starting amp bots. Uh, so therx requested this replay and he wondered what is it about this matchup with amp bots that you do. And also, why would you play amp bots on this map? That's his question. Uh, a special example with this map is that it has a few very good starting mexes, like 3.5 metal income from a mex. That's very high. So you want to grab those mexes as quickly as possible, and you're basically doing that, therx. That's good. And then you're also sending a con to expand. These mexes are only worth 2 metal per second, so they're not that good. But this gives you a nice starting income, which means you're gonna grow your economy fast and be able to start making units quickly. And that's one reason why I like to go for a support commander on this map. Since the support commander has 12 build power, yeah, it's gonna be able to build up the base faster. So already, your opponent is far ahead just by using a support commander. And you also haven't set this conch to high priority. You probably want to get these mexes built as fast as possible. But you haven't built enough energy here. That's the thing, this is not a usual map. Like, yeah, on regular map, building one solar per mex is fine, but this is a special map, so these are almost twice the value of normal mexes. So really, you should have built like 4 solars at the start of this game, easily. So that's, yeah, this map is just different, so yeah, some maps are different like that, so you have to take some consideration to like the metal from the mexes. You're starting to harass the player, and I really like the duck versus glaive matchup. Let's see here, 2 glaives against 2 ducks, and there comes another. Like, yeah, you get 2 kills, and the glaives are barely doing any damage to these ducks. And I see you're gonna use a trick on this map is that you can put the ducks in this water and they regen a bit. However, this water is pretty shallow, so they won't get their full regen. Basically, the regen from being inside water is dependent on how like the whole unit needs to be submerged to get the whole like bonus. Oh, and this was a really good raid by Madcraft. You had nothing up here. You had no radars. I like to build a radar at this position. Then I can usually see incoming units from here. Yeah. But now you lost that cam. You didn't have any Lotus turret or a single duck up there to defend. So that's a pretty big blow to your economy. You managed to only lose 1 Mexta, but still, your opponent is gonna be ahead. And yeah, Rocco's this early. They can kind of push back ducks, but they're not gonna hit them if they're just running around. And here comes Madcraft with a raid. So yeah, that's pretty important. Oh, and you're even excessive metal. Yeah, this is the thing. You haven't built... Yeah, just building 2 solar collectors at the start of this game is really hurting your economy here. And Madcraft is pretty smart here, splitting up his units. So yeah. Ducks can deal with him fairly, but yeah, he still gets a mix up there and a mix there. He might even get this mix. Ah, yes, barely doesn't get it. So yeah. This is a pretty big economic setback for you, because you're accessing metal. And you're also behind in metal production. So yeah. Yeah, and you're starting to build plays here. Yeah, you want to build plays pretty early on this map because you have so much income from these mexes, and these mexes are fairly easy to hold if you're just a bit more careful to have some radar so you can see incoming glaives and either put up a Lotus turret in time or send ducks up there. And as I said, I really like ducks in this matchup because they own glaives pretty hard, especially in larger numbers. And Ronins are kinda good against ducks because ducks are kinda slow with 90 elmos per second, while Ronins are almost 70 elmos per second, so they're pretty fast. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's hard to chase down a line of Ronins with ducks, unless the enemy is not paying attention and like send them straight into the ducks. So yeah, countering. And making archers, in my person, is like overkill because yeah, the archer has the same speed as Ronins, so it's gonna get countered hard by them. And against warriors, it does so. Warriors beat them for cost, so I prefer to just mostly rely on duck early game. And then later I like to switch for like a boy. Boys are pretty good in the hills, like you get some range advantage if you put the boys up on the high ground and move around the edges like this. So that's a thing that makes boys pretty good on this map. And here you're running down Ronins. If you get a good angle, you can run down like Ronins from several angles with ducks pretty easily. So that gives you pretty good map control in this matchup, as well as yeah. But you're still getting really far behind because of this metal excess. But yeah, you still have pretty good map control. So you're switching into Archer. I think that's a poor decision. Like, yeah, there's nothing like, sure, archers can beat glaives for sure, but so can ducks. Ducks are really good against glaives as well. It's a good matchup for ducks, really. Glaives only have their speed that they can try to outmaneuver the ducks with, but then again, ducks aren't that slow. Like glaives, yeah, they're a bit like 25 speed faster than ducks, but yeah. You can still kind of intercept. You can't chase down glaives, but you can still intercept with a decent angle with the ducks and catch them when they're going up slopes and such, so it depends, really. And it looks like you're finally stabilizing your energy income. Yeah, you have this map is a bit different in this regard, since you get so much metal income early in the game. And yeah, you need to be prepared for that energy. You access 1,300 metal, that's a lot of metal. And here again, did you see this army coming in? You have no radars here. These units are kinda out of position. You move them away just at the wrong time. And yeah, now you're building a radar turret. And that's a bit late. Like, if you have a radar turret here, you're gonna see like pretty well when the enemy is coming. And you might get up a Lotus turret in time, and a Lotus turret or two if you react in time. But yeah, you have an archer coming there, so you only lose 2 mexes, not too bad. But really, your expansion is getting slowed down. You really want to, at this point, you really want to be here and expanding already, and not being forced to rebuild mexes. And yet again, here's a sneaky glaive that could come back later, and you don't have any radar in position, so you don't know about this glaive. That can hurt you potentially pretty bad. Slow down your expansion even more and your metal income. And how many ducks? Archers did you make? You made 8 archers. Yeah, like I said, I don't like archers that much in this matchup. You could potentially kill the commander here. That could be a pretty nice pick-off. You have some, like, yeah. At this point, you should probably try to focus the commander and get it. Would probably get it if you focus the commander, but there's also Stardust turret here, so trying to dive in against that is going to be pretty costly now. It seems like you're kind of losing this engagement. Stardust as support here. Let's check the graphs. Like you can see, value killed. Oh, and look, this glaive is back again. Yeah, that's what the lack of radar can do too. Now you lost a mex and the conch again, and you haven't even built up this mex yet, so yeah. Yeah. So the enemy got a bit, yeah, it was decently even exchange there, but yeah. This is what the lack of radar can do to you. Or I guess maybe you sent the conch here and now it's dying there, it's a bit out of position. Yeah. And the enemy is also building caretakers to repair the commander and reclaim all this metal. And now there's, at this point, like the Stardust here, it's gonna be pretty hard to break this. You could maybe go up here if you're sneaky and try to go down there with like archers and ducks. Yeah, but at this point I would really like to have added some boys. I guess bulkheads are decent as well, although I kind of prefer boys just in general against like against knights and warriors and even Ronins to some degree. Like, the thing is, I guess boys can't hit Ronins reliably either, but bulkheads, yeah, they can't hit Ronins reliably either. So yeah. Also, a unit I like to like, if you have these like large moving armies, getting an Olympus or two in that army, in that ball, is pretty good. Olympus doesn't do any damage to yourself, while it slows the enemy, making you able to catch up. Like, it damages the enemy, and it also slows down the enemy. So you do about 150 cost. So yeah, if you have two of them, you can almost like, they don't do, their fall off is pretty a lot. So you're not that likely, like you would need like two to kill a glaive, but you won't kill the glaives in a large area. But after the enemy is slowed, you can easily finish off these glaives with ducks or archers as a follow-up. And even against the Ronins, they're pretty good, limpets, because yeah, if you slow them down, it's much easier to catch them with ducks, really. So limpets is a unit I recommend to mix in if you have a like stay mobile and keep using ducks. And it's just a good unit to have every now and then if you feel getting overrun by like glaives and stuff. So yeah, it's a good unit in my opinion. And the enemy gets this little sneaky mix pick off there. Madcraft is doing pretty good raiding here, I have to say. Like, yeah, picking off mexes there when you don't really have the build power to remake them. Oh, and this cons should be on high priority, so you get those mexes built faster while you're stalling a metal, because then the mex production will be prioritized. And here's a bulkhead, and the enemy has already a stinger up on the high ground, so that's not going to be broken easily by a bulkhead, yeah. Yeah, I recommend working the sides, even with bulkheads and the boys, because you get range extension from that. Down here you get the opposite, like you get less range, because you're in the long ground. Yeah. And the reason I like to go for... this is kind of bad engagement for you, I guess you're not paying that much attention. Yeah, the reason also is that the enemy slows down a bit when they're in this water as well, so that gives your amps a bit more extra mobility. That's another reason why I like to go amps on this. Like, the river actually helps them quite a bit. You get a little bit of extra regen if you place your units there. Like, this bulkhead got like +3 per second, and yeah. Do we have an archer? Example of an archer regenerating? Yeah, like an archer regenerates really fast. But here you're taking a really bad engagement, like slow archers against Ronins and Stardust and Knights. It's not a good position for the archers. Really, archers aren't gonna do much of anything here. Ducks can do the same thing basically, and they're faster. And if you wanna like delay the opponent, yeah, you can put some archers in front of the enemy, like you put archers, and they're much better counter against Ronins. So then the question becomes if you want to rely on like bulkhead DPS to like defeat enemy at range, but the bulkheads, yeah, it really has a big trouble hitting stuff. While if you use bulkheads, you can slow down the enemy, and they will lose speed, so you can hit them more easily and overrun them more easily with ducks potentially. So it's a bit of a micromanagement. I guess bulkheads are easier to micromanage in that sense, because you can just use fight move and then just put them where they're supposed to be, and then they might hit. They will hit if the enemy moves straight, but if the enemy doesn't move straight, yeah. And you can still counter like reavers pretty well with those. So I wouldn't say bulkheads are bad. I just prefer to go for boys. Like, you can see that the bulkheads, they have a lot of HP and they still hit the enemy at close range. Yeah. Still, I don't think you're making that good trades here, really. Yeah. You're losing most of your archers and your bulkheads. And yeah, you're doing some damage, but not much. You can see the bulkheads here killing a Stardust. That's nice. Yeah. They can do that without damage, while some boys would take some damage, especially if it's like uphill like this. So yeah, bulkheads can be good. And then it's a question if you want to go into Grizzly switch like you're doing now. Like Grizzlies are also good in this matchup. There's nothing really that the Cloaky bot can easily do to take out a Grizzly. Like arguably the best thing is like to cloak a bunch of knights and then try to get in close and stun lock the Grizzly. That's my like best tips I have for you. So yeah. Yeah, but you're kinda losing attrition there, you're losing your armor, you're killing some stuff. Yeah, I should really enable the attrition graph. Like if you look at value kill, yeah, you're a little bit ahead, but still pretty even trades. And here you're gonna try to get that knight. And yeah, it's a bit risky, and you get that knight just in time. But then you keep running into the enemy with your archers and lose them all. That's not too good. Yeah, so if you look at the total value, you have been behind all since like quite early, as you were stalling metal and losing your mexes. So the enemy has basically been cementing their lead the whole time, and they're using this. They're using this advantage. They're putting it all into overdrive, which yeah, you don't really see that because yeah, while the armies might have looked like quite similar, the enemy was putting all that metal into economy basically. So yeah, now that they're finished the grid, that economy advantage is gonna kick in, and you're gonna suffer badly from that. Yeah. So yeah, now you lost your whole army. Trades, yeah, the last trades were kind of bad because yeah, at this point your opponent is kind of out. They have a bigger army than you, and they're winning all across the front. So yeah. And your first Grizzly is here, but yeah, it's gonna have a long battle ahead of it if it's gonna like make cost. And Madcraft even made 3 shields here. I don't really see why you would do that. Like a stinger on a hill, you don't easily take it out with bulkheads. 2 stingers, 3 stingers, and Stardust, yeah, you can't really. And amps don't really have an artillery. The closest thing you get is the Grizzly and the bulkhead, so yeah. Building shields against that feels excessive. You're probably better off building mobile units and stuff. But yeah, Madcraft is so far ahead now that it doesn't really matter that they made those shields. Yeah, and at this point, if you want to have a chance at a comeback in this situation, is that you need to be really careful with how you use units. Basically, at this point, even the slings are gonna hit your units sometimes and deal damage, and the Romans are gonna hit units sometimes and deal damage. And archers are too slow to catch up to them, so yeah, they're probably not gonna do much. Yeah. You almost got a sling there, but yeah, you're gonna get DPS down. So if you want to have a chance at a comeback here, you really need to consider when you send in your units. Like, you need to keep your units back. And really try to rely on that attrition from the bulkheads and the Grizzly. Yeah. And that's gonna be hard because the enemy has some slings, which is gonna like, yeah, they're gonna damage your Grizzly a bit. Although if you keep it, if that's a frontline unit, but still, you can kind of repair it. So yeah. Yeah, and using a few ducks to like counter these slings and archer is pretty good. Like, you can still be producing ducks while you're making grizzlies, or have a few archers next to the grizzly if you want to be safe against like glaive glaives coming up to it. Yeah. Uh, yeah, but at this point it's too late, really. You don't really have an army to speak of. Like, if you look at the value killed, your enemy got ahead of you, you're kind of doing evenly, trading evenly, but yeah. You're too far behind now. So, yeah. The reason I like to go amps on this map is because the enemies slow down a bit in this water, and you can get some extra regen from it. So, it's a thing. I think that on bot maps, I think amps are borderline viable in on bot maps. Flat maps, no, not really. Then you want to go vehicles or tanks, like rovers or tanks, or hovers. But on a map, on a bot map, yeah, I think amps are borderline viable. And on this map, where they get a little bit of advantage when the enemy is slowing down in the water, and you get some extra regen in the water, yeah, I think it makes amp bots really competitive on this map. I'm not gonna say they're. I prefer to go them on this map, but I'm not gonna say they're much overpowered in that sense. But yeah, the duck has a good matchup against the glaives, and what else? I like to work the edges, the height advantages, the edges with boys, um, and bulkheads aren't bad as well. And then you can go grizzly late game, and it's easy to reach the late game. Like, even if you just hold this position, you're still gonna have a lot of income. Like, you still have like 30 income from these mixes. So yeah, it's not hard to pump out grizzlies to get to that point. Although I don't personally usually need that to win on this map. But yeah, it's easy to get to the point where you can just make grizzlies. And yeah, like cloakybots, they're gonna have a hard time countering grizzlies. And yeah, you also have the speed. Like, besides, since ducks have such a good map, you kind of have the speed advantage on this map against cloakybots, because yeah, ducks are faster than ronins, and you can like kind of work around the edges and raid with ducks pretty well. So yeah. Against shields, yeah, I don't mind. Ducks are pretty even with bandits, so yeah, they do pretty even trades with bandits, and yeah, boys are decent against shield balls, and rogues, they are outranged by rogues, but yeah, rogues are kind of easy to dodge in that sense, so archers are decent in the shield ball matchup as well. So yeah. And limpets. I mean, if you're relying, like in this map, you can rely in this matchup, you can rely on ducks a lot, and then making some limpets. That's just gonna, and getting a good limpet right in their units. You can just send a ball of like ducks and limpets towards the enemy, and the limpet is gonna run ahead of the other units, and it's gonna go in and stun like the glaives and ronins or warriors even, and then you can like kind of finish them off with the ducks, or catch up with them with boys and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's my take on playing amp bots on this map. So yeah, on this map, take great care to watch the first mechs. You have so much income from the mechs that you should at least build 4 solas right at the start. And that's also probably a reason why you want to go support commander, because like a recon commander has only 8 build power on this map, while a a support commander has 12 build power basic income. So it's gonna be like, yeah, 50% faster. You're gonna get your mexes built faster, which means more metal, and gonna get your solars built faster. Yeah, you're just gonna have a much better start with a support commander compared to recon commander on this map, I think. Yeah, and make sure to build like 4 solars at the start at least, because yeah, your econ is gonna need it from those very good mixes. Yeah, so yeah, you accessed like 3 up to 1,300 because of that. You had so low energy income, and yeah, your opponent just outspent you, and then you didn't get any radars on the side, and you got raided by a single glaive, and it killed your expansion. So yeah, that put you even further behind. Remember to build radar, or at least like send ducks through here. They can go. They don't need to stay here. But if you send ducks through this direction, and you pay attention to the minimap or the map, you can spot incoming glaives and intercept them in time. So yeah, those are my tips for you. Good luck and have fun.